Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome back to stream number 36 of the Karen Reid retrial. I need to get on the road, so I'm just going to hit this button here, make sure that I've shared both cameras, and then I'm going to hit play. I watched some of this last night because I could not sleep, but I understand that things didn't go very well for certain witnesses. So, keys, mobile, wallet, sunglasses, although I don't think I'm going to need those today because it's overcast, so let's hit it.
So I appreciate getting the redacted text messages over the weekend. Ms. Gianetti, this is yours, right? So, Mr. Brennan, I'm letting the text messages in over the Commonwealth's objection. I find that they're properly authenticated and that they do go to...
Can I turn this fan off?
Yes, can we turn... Thank you. So I do find that they're properly authenticated, and I find that they come in as they go to the state of mind of Trooper Proctor, specifically as that goes to potentially reflecting any bias or omissions in the police investigation. So I'll give a limiting instruction at the time they come in. I understand that what was still remaining with disagreement are in orange. So I've got rulings on those. I don't think we need argument. We've heard plenty of argument on this. So regarding the first page with the numbers, I think we should do it the way I inquired about them last week, with just the last two numbers, not the last four. So those redactions will have to be made. I think the first page with disagreement is on page 02537. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so the first one from Bird saying something stinks, I'm going to allow that in. And then there's a message that you both agree to in yellow. And then for the orange, all I'm going to let in out of that is gotta be, and that's where it ends. So you'll have to redact out the rest of that, Ms. Gianetti. And the next page, and the only other one was 02539, is that right?
Correct.
So that comes out. All right, that's it. I don't know whose objections they were. Those are my rulings. All right, can we bring the jury in, please?
I'm going to go ahead and assume that she removed the one that said we're going to pin it on her. Because I don't recall hearing that last night. Let's get to the fun.
Tony, do you want me to?
Oh, hang on. One sec. Fun's an understatement. I'm guessing the day got better than what because I raged quit and had to go to sleep.
All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Beverly Cannoni, the Justice of the Superior Court, holding in Dedham within and for the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated.
So good morning again, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning.
I know why they changed it for obvious reasons, but it still sounds funny to me that they still say God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, because in actual Commonwealth countries, it's God save the King and God save the Queen on the opening of the court hearing. Like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not asking you to at me or anything. I'm just saying it sounds funny when you say God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, because it really seems like Beb's doing everything she can to bury the judicial system of Massachusetts.
I hope you had a nice weekend. I do have those questions I need to ask you. Was everyone able to follow my instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left on Friday? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively.
Oh, Devers
Did
can
anyone
suck a
happen
dick,
to see,
honestly.
hear, or read anything about this case since we left last week? Everyone said no. All right, thank you very much. Ms. Giannetti?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. The defense calls Jonathan Diamandis.
Well, I'm sure you'll give him a good home, Cat.
I'm sure the evidence you give to the court and jury in the case now and hearing to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I feel so sorry for this poor bastard. I really
Sir,
do.
would you please state your name and spell your last name?
Jonathan Diamandis, Diamandis.
Sir, do you know former trooper Michael Proctor?
I do.
How do you know him?
We've been friends since middle school, approximately 30 years.
And in what town?
Canton, Massachusetts.
Did you graduate high school with Michael Proctor?
I did.
When was that?
2000.
How close did you remain in contact with Michael Proctor after high
Sorry,
school?
hello.
Very close.
Do you have his cell number?
Have you been
I
well
do.
too?
How often have you texted him over the years?
Frequently.
And when you text him, is that a direct one-to-one or part of a group chat or both?
Both.
And I want to direct your attention to one particular group chat that had 9 people on it. Do you know the one I'm referring to?
I do.
And what one is that?
It's one that's been in existence for many years. We've been texting on that text chain for 10 plus years, I would suggest.
Okay. And over those 10 years, the members of that group chat, I'm not asking you for names, but if you could tell me, where are these people from? How do you know them?
We all grew up together and went to school together at some point.
All from Canton?
All from Canton.
And with regard to the 9 people on that group chat, you're one of them?
Correct.
And whether or not Michael Proctor is on that group chat with the rest of your high school friends as well?
He is, yes.
May I have the exhibit that was marked for identification, please? I apologize, I don't recall the triple letter. Would have been the last one from Friday. It's triple N as in Nancy. And Your Honor, may I approach the witness for the purpose of handling
Yes.
this? And I've handed you what has been marked triple N for identification. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
Have you seen that before?
Yes, I was shown it last Friday.
Chiro,
And
hello.
what do you recognize it to be?
A portion of our text chain.
Okay, and when you say a portion, it's a limited
Hey,
time
Flux.
period within a much longer
Thanks
text
for the
chain. Is that
attempt.
fair to say?
That's correct.
And with regard to how you're able to recognize it, I'd like to just ask you a few questions. First of all, on the first page of that document, do you see a series of phone numbers?
I do.
And do you recognize your phone number on that text chain?
Yes.
And having reviewed that text chain on Friday, did you see that you had actually sent one text of the whole body of text that's included in what has been marked triple N for identification?
Yes.
In order to send that text message as of late January, early February of 2022, did your phone have a passcode on it?
Yes.
Have you had that for several years?
Yes.
In order to send a text chain, do you have to enter the passcode to your phone first to unlock it?
Correct.
For those of you wondering, all this is very boring foundational stuff, but it's necessary to verify and authenticate the source and origination of the text messages, and to verify, yes, these do in fact belong to Proctor, and that, yes, he has personal knowledge of these texts. All boring, all very foundational, and all very necessary in order to get it into the court record. Achiro, she won't know who Lucy is. She refuses to watch anything older than, like, 1997.
And so it would have been you who sent that message.
Yes.
And having reviewed the content of that text chain, were you able to identify which entries were typed and sent by Michael Proctor?
Yes.
Who is he on that text chain?
He's listed as local user.
Okay, and it says local user, and there's a bunch of letters and numbers after that.
Correct.
Everybody else is identified by a phone number,
Yes, or a nickname.
and actually, even the ones with a nickname have a phone number, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So three of them have nicknames, correct?
Yeah, I see 2 on the first page here.
Do you see? Of the
Oh, third on the bottom. Yes, I see 3.
So you see 3 there.
Yes. Yes.
And so of the 9, we have 3 nicknames with phone numbers, right?
Yes.
We have 8 phone numbers total, right?
Yes.
And 1 local user.
Correct.
And you've testified the local user is Michael Proctor.
Correct.
And having known Michael Proctor for as long as you have, does he have any nicknames?
He does.
And what are his nicknames?
Chip and Bear.
Chip, C-H-I-P,
Yes.
and Bear, B-E.
Now, see, that to me sounded absolutely ridiculous when I first heard it. Why the hell would Michael Proctor, in all of his gorkness, and yes, that was gork, because he just reminds me of the big bald guy from Hot Fuzz. I don't know if that's actually his name. That's just the sound that comes into my head when I think of that guy. It wasn't until someone pointed out that apparently Bear is a nickname given to state troopers. I have no idea if that's accurate or not. But he in no way, shape, or form would suit the nickname Bear, in my personal opinion. Like... I hit the wrong button on the remote.
E-A-R?
Correct.
And having reviewed that text chain, is that a true and accurate document documenting the texts that were sent in that chain for the time period that is listed on N for identification?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would offer that subject to our discussions outside the presence of the jury.
Okay.
May I take it back from the witness?
Yes. Exhibit 209. Thank you.
I have no further questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There. That right there tells me that all they wanted to do was get those text messages. The defense wanted those text messages in so that they could cherry pick, so that they could do whatever strategy they were going to with other witnesses. What Brennan now does might be one of the most disgusting things I have seen a prosecutor do in an attempt to try and lessen the sting of something that is effectively devastating to his case. Now, things come out in this part of the trial that I found absolutely revolting, because my understanding is John O'Keefe's niece and nephew did not know certain details about their parents that come out from being read these text messages. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm inclined to believe that it is. The raid just happened. Lovely. Thank you, Flux. Beyond that, he basically grinds this poor bastard into the ground, initially making him read the text messages and then doing it himself. Because in his mind, it's a way of getting ahead of the issues and trying to basically derail whatever plans the defense had. Now, I can understand wanting to derail the defense. That's the prosecutor's job. But he goes around it in what may be one of the most disgusting ways I've ever seen. And I am more than likely going to be yelling, so I apologize if it's very early or if it's very late for people. I will try and give a headphone warning.
Ready?
Can I have exhibit 209 when it's ready, please? Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Have we met before?
On Friday, I saw you. We didn't meet.
You had been friends with Mr. Proctor for about 30 years.
Yes,
Are you still friends with him?
I am.
Are you still close with him?
I am.
You were on a text chain with Mr. Proctor over the years.
Correct.
Did that include other friends of yours and Mr. Proctor's?
Did.
The extent of that text chain, did it go back many,
There's
many
no way
years?
Kelly's
Yes.
still friends with Proctor.
Have you ever looked at any records that summarize some of that text chain?
Yes.
Did it note that there were over 38,000 texts in that group?
I did notice the number, but it sounds accurate.
When there is conversations in that group, do you always respond to the conversation?
No.
There's a particular section or segment of those 38,707 text messages that were shown to you. Did you see that document?
I did.
Are you familiar with it now that you've seen it?
Now that I've seen it, yes.
In that document, are there inappropriate comments that your friend Michael Proctor made about one of his investigations?
There are.
Was it about this case here?
It was.
In those inappropriate comments, did other people on that text chain, not you, comment or respond to Mr. Proctor?
Yes.
In that text chain where Mr. Proctor made inappropriate comments, you did not respond to any of those inappropriate comments, did you?
Correct.
You're on the text chain at a point later on.
So what he's doing here is trying to buffer the witness so that the jury doesn't look down on this guy because he's about to have him read out some of the sleaziest shit they're ever going to hear. So heading to work? Yep. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm working from home because I got to put the car in the shop because of some issues with the battery. So I don't know if I'll be streaming this time tomorrow, but just keep an eye on the
In
channel.
conversations, but not relevant to the inappropriate comments.
Correct.
Did you know that Mr. Proctor was fired by the Massachusetts State Police because of his inappropriate comments?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
May we approach, please?
Sure.
And the objection there is speculation. For the first time, I can actually pick what the objection is going to be because of the context. I mean, I should say the first time today. I mean, to be fair, the report wasn't just because of his text, and that's a really, that's a scummy implication to provide to the jury. Oh, this is the only reason why Proctor was fired, because of what was contained in these text messages. Proctor was fired for a number of reasons in relation to this case. Least of all was his poor investigative skills, but also very clear bias and improper investigation. So just going ahead and saying, oh, it was because of what he said in these text messages, a good number of which have been removed or redacted, it's going to try and lessen the blow of the fact that the lead investigator of the case was fired for his investigation.
Sir, do you know if Mr. Proctor was fired from the Massachusetts State Police?
I do.
Did he tell you why?
It was in connection to this case. I believe it was based on his text messages that were sent to us.
Based on these comments that are in exhibit?
Correct.
Did you at any time ever defend or endorse these comments?
I did not.
Did you ever encourage him in his comments?
I did not.
May I approach?
Yes.
Maybe you exhibit 209.
Thank you.
On the first page, ending in the numbers 27, there's a fuller number, but I'll just use the last two numbers. Bottom right, 27. Is there a number of redacted phone numbers?
I'm sorry. On the first page on the bottom of the page?
If you look to the bottom right of the page, there's a number on it?
Oh, yes. And then it's blacked out next to it?
Yes.
Yes.
The last two numbers, is it 27?
Yes, it is.
When you look at that first page, does it have a number of redacted phone numbers of different people?
I don't see anything redacted.
The top box, are there numbers?
There
Phone
are numbers, yes.
Oh, no, I absolutely agree, Coke Ferry. These should have always come in. In fact, I think that the unredacted ones personally should have come in. I believe that Bev has overstepped her boundaries there. But what I'm saying is there were far better ways for this to happen, and there were far less traumatizing things to happen for family members, for example. I don't know why, but I genuinely just believe that, I don't know, Jackson and Yannetti probably would have had a little more tact in bringing these in and how they would have approached it with the jury. So,
Are they partially blacked out?
No, the display names, it just lists phone numbers.
Okay. Are those numbers you recognize as a group of friends, including Michael Proctor?
They are.
as you read down that first box and go down to number of messages. Do you see that?
Oh, yes.
Is it 38,707?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Is that for a time period between October 18, 2021 and August 31st, 2022?
Yes.
I'd like you to look at the third text message that begins with Chip. Without saying who it is, do you recognize that as one of the people in the group?
I do.
And what did the person write?
Chip, name of that BPD cop.
And at the time this conversation was happening, were you part of this immediate conversation?
I was not.
Turn the page. Bottom right number is ending in 28. Do you see that page?
Yes.
Okay. Instead of a name, there's a local user with an ID. Is that Mr. Proctor's?
Yes, it is.
And does he respond to Chip, name of that
Oh,
BPD
shit.
cop?
He's already starting to read the
He
text.
does.
What does he say?
John O'Keefe.
What is the next question from somebody in the group?
How old?
And what does Mr. Proctor respond?
He took custody of his sister's kids.
The next one?
She died of cancer and the father overdosed on her grave.
That should never have come in. That should not, and I don't know why, but I genuinely believe that Jackson and Eddie would have had more professionalism and more human decency to skip over that particular message. My understanding is the kids didn't know that Peggy'd been telling them for a long time that he died of a heart attack. And now that's out there for everybody. That is disgusting. That does absolutely nothing that does absolutely nothing to move forward the prosecution's case. It does in no way provide any probative value. A good number of these text messages came in the first trial. That particular one did not, and it should not have come in this time around either.
And then one of the group sends a message. What do they say?
Oh man, that's rough.
And what's Mr. Proctor's response?
Mid 40s.
Does somebody in the group then post a Facebook posting?
Yes.
Do you know what that's about?
I do not.
You can turn the page ending bottom right 29.
Yes.
Somebody in the group ask another question.
Yes.
What do they say?
What's that? Don't have the book anymore.
If you could just speak up just a little so it's hard to hear with the fan on, not your
Sure.
fault.
What's that? Don't have the book anymore.
How does Mr. Proctor respond?
This one is a nightmare. Forget about the kids. That's awful.
And then I'd like you to go down to Mr. Proctor's next comment.
But all the powers that be want answer ASAP.
And what does one of the group respond with?
Gotcha.
Mr. Proctor?
Pretty sure that's where we're going to pin it on the girl text message came from. Should have slotted in right about there, I believe.
Couldn't open it either.
Do you know what he was talking about when he said he couldn't open it?
I'm guessing the Facebook link.
I'd like you to turn forward to bottom right 3-1. Do you see what that is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
John O'Keefe's Facebook page.
What does it tell us about John O'Keefe?
He went to Braintree High School, studied criminal justice at Northeastern, joined Facebook in 2008.
No, that's exactly it. Like, the purpose of getting the entire text chaining was for the sake of completeness. You try and get everything in that you can, and then you cherry pick exactly what you're going to put in front of the jury. Brennan is being a bull in a china shop, and he's basically reading out everything in an effort to get ahead of the defense, making it look a lot worse for the prosecution. Yes, it's Brennan that's questioning him. And he could have skipped over that, and he chose not to.
You turn the page, please. The first line from Bird, and I'll note this is January 29, 2022 at 10:56:39 p.m. Did I read that accurately?
Yes.
And what does the person say?
I'm sure the owner of the house will receive some shit.
And could you read Mr. Proctor's two responses?
Nope. Homeowner is a Boston cop too.
If you could turn to the next page, ending on 33. This is January 29, 2022 at 10:57:21 p.m. Could you read Mr. Proctor's 2 comments?
She waffled him. I looked at his body at the hospital.
And one of the group asks a question.
She waffled him in quotation marks.
And how does he respond?
He was banged up.
Somebody in the group asks another question. What do they ask?
I thought he was drunk. Did he get beat up?
And Mr. Proctor's response?
Nope.
Turn to the next page, ending in 34. This is at around 10:58:06 p.m., running through 10:59 p.m. Another question from the group. What did they ask?
So the owner of the house was a woman cop that beat him.
And Mr. Proctor's 2 responses.
That's what I initially thought after talking to the Canton paramedic. Then I saw the guy.
One of the group asks further down, what does... Sir, if you could either speak much louder or bring the microphone closer. We have a couple fans back here. It's just difficult to hear you.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's not your fault. If we can keep our voice up. So one of the group asks, what does, quote, she waffled him, quote, end quote, mean? And then asks, what's the story? Does Mr. Proctor return?
He does.
What does he say?
She hit him with her car.
Turn to the next page, please, ending in 3-5. And these texts are from 10:59:13 p.m. to 11:08 p.m. The person by the name of Bird asks a question. What does he ask? Or what does he say?
I really do hope that the jury is actually taking note of the time jumps here, explaining that there are significant differences and likely messages that they're not being privy to here. Because I think someone said it a couple of days ago, oh, the jury must be getting sick and tired of knowing that they're having information kept from them. I really hope they're being, I want to say astute, but I don't think that's the right way. I haven't had coffee yet. I need to stop and get coffee.
Okay, that's fucked up.
How does Mr. Proctor respond?
Intentional or not?
And somebody in the group again?
Gotcha. He was frozen in the driveway and she didn't see him.
Mr. Proctor's 2 responses.
That's another animal we won't be able to prove.
And the next one?
They arrived at the house together, got into an argument. She was driving and left.
What does the friend say?
What's the name of the Canton cop living in Canton? The other one involved.
What does Mr. Proctor say?
Biffed him.
Turn to the next page, ending in 3-6. These run from January 29, 2022, 11 p.m. and 11 seconds to January 29, 2022, 11 p.m., 39 seconds. Okay, the first comment by somebody in the group.
The BPD have any jurisdiction here because it was their own?
And then if you could look where there's a comment from Whitey at 11 p.m., 27 seconds.
Liz has got the blueprint.
Liz has got the blueprint. Do you know who Liz is?
No.
Okay.
Proctor's
And
wife.
what's the next comment by Mr. Proctor?
Nah, Cat. It's the total opposite. They have to rescue themselves.
What it's mean
Recuse
by-
themselves,
Thank
excuse
you.
me.
Recuse themselves?
Yes.
And then a comment by somebody in the group.
Laughed at. Liz has got the blueprint.
On the next page, Mr. Proctor's comment.
Same with Canton.
At January 29, 2022, 11:02
YouTube's putting
p.m.
their
and
own,
15
like,
seconds.
chat feature in
There's a
for
comment from one person in the group, number ending in 5051. Could you read that?
But I assume you guys are out to make it cut and dry since it involves cops.
Next comment by Bird,
Something stinks.
and the comment by Mr. Proctor.
Yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl.
And the beginning of the next sentence has got to be, and finally, the last comment on that page.
She hot at least.
And that's a question mark.
Yes.
Turn the page, please.
Oh, here we go.
Ending in 3-8. These messages begin at 11:05:57 p.m., run through 11:06:39 p.m. on January 29, 2022. Does it begin with comments from Mr. Proctor?
It does.
Could you read all of them, please?
These are not my words. I'm not really comfortable reading these. Do I have to say these words out loud?
So I'm going to see you at sidebar.
This poor bastard. Like I said, what Brennan is doing is entirely scummy. Making an independent third witness to this, who said one message in that entire chain, read out some of the foulest things that a cop could say about a murder investigation. And he's doing all of this so it lessens the blow when the defense get to the text messages. It was pretty desperate for that sidebar. I bloody well would be too. Well, yeah, we know he's a scumbag, but he's a sleazy scumbag. And it's just... The trouble that I have with this is that the rule of completeness for me says that all of those text messages should have went in. All of them. But he didn't have to say the one about the kid's father. They could have skipped over that, and I genuinely believe that anyone with half decency would have. He's a smunt, and you know it. Yeah, this poor bastard is a sacrificial lamb. Now I have to get petrol, so I'm hoping that this sidebar isn't going to take much longer. Or did I? Oh shit! Did I pause it?
So, no ass. Are those the words that he wrote?
Those are the words.
He then
Shit.
and then uses the C word to describe. On January 29, 2022, 11 p.m., 5 minutes, 57 seconds.
Dude.
And this page ends at 11 p.m., 6 minutes, 39 seconds on January 29, 2022, ending in numbers 38. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor says, from all accounts, he didn't do a thing wrong. She's a whack job, and then uses the C word to describe. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
He then says, yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass. Are those the words that he wrote?
Those are the words.
And there's a response at the bottom from one member in the group stating, oh, she's skating.
Yes.
Let's turn the page, ending in 39. These begin on January 29, 2022, 11:06 p.m., 55 seconds. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Proctor responds, zero chance she's skated. She's effed. She's fucked.
Yes,
Is that what he said?
it is.
And then one person in the group says, no ass bitch. Accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Mr. Proctor, there's a response, laughed at, quote, no ass bitch.
Yes.
If you could turn to a page that ends in 4-3. You ready?
Yes.
Somebody in the group says, is that chick a smoke? And then the same person follows up with a question mark. Accurate?
Accurate.
Mr. Proctor responds, E-H,
Yes.
nutbag, as my chief would say.
Yes.
She's got a leaky balloon knot,
Yes.
leaks poo.
Yes.
Are those the words of Mr. Proctor?
They are.
Did I read those accurately?
You did.
And then a person in the group says, what are you guzzling on? And this is on, well, let me take a step back to be more clear. The comments I just read, those weren't on January 29th. Those were on February 2nd, 2022.
Correct.
And the time is 12:50 p.m. 12:50 and 5 seconds p.m. Begin the page.
Yes. Yes. Beginning of the page.
So
Yes.
these are different in time than the ones we read before, the series of text messages.
Correct.
And then at the bottom, one of the members of the group says, what are you guzzling on?
Correct.
And that's still February 2nd, 2022. And that's at 1:51:33 p.m.
Yes.
And then if you can turn to page that ends on with numbers 44.
Yes.
And this is on February 2nd, 2022, 1:52:24. Mr. Proctor says, nothing, writing a warrant.
That's accurate.
There are no further text messages?
From Mr. Proctor?
Yes, or anybody in this group that you have as part of this exhibit?
That was not the last comment.
Okay, let me look. Okay. Is there another YouTube video?
There is.
You were not part of any of these conversations with Mr. Proctor,
No,
but you're still friends with him?
I am.
In your conversations with Mr. Proctor, has he ever suggested that he planted evidence in this case or any other case?
No,
In your conversations with Mr. Proctor, has he ever suggested framing a defendant, including this defendant?
Absolutely not.
In all your conversations with Mr. Proctor, has he ever suggested tampering with evidence in this case or in any other case?
No, absolutely not.
Mr. Proctor was fired?
He was.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Sir, at the time Michael Proctor was revealing this information on this high school group chat, was this information public?
I have no memory one way or the other.
At the time Michael Proctor was texting these messages to you and your other high school friends, were Ms. Reed's medical conditions public? Did you know anything about Ms. Reed's medical conditions?
I didn't know anything about this case at all.
Michael Proctor was the one revealing those details about the case to you and anybody on the chat who cared to read them, correct?
Correct.
And you were asked questions about why Michael Proctor was fired, and I believe you answered in a shorthand way for these text messages. Were you aware he was fired for being biased?
I'm not aware of that.
Objection.
So the answer will stand. He's not aware.
Were you aware that he was fired for revealing confidential information about an investigation?
I was not aware of that.
And were you aware that he was also fired for conduct unbecoming a state trooper and a lead investigator in this case?
I was not aware of that.
Oh, you
I
are
have no
now.
further questions.
You're not aware that he was fired for conduct unbecoming because of these text messages?
My understanding was it was due to the text messages. I don't know the other details of the situation.
Do you know he was not fired for any accusations of planting or tampering with evidence?
I do not know that.
Do you know that he was not fired for doing anything to compromise the integrity of the evidence in this investigation?
I do not know that.
All right. So, sir, I am going to.
That's some bullshit. Brennan was purely using that as a way to get those statements in front of the jury. I hate it when lawyers do that. I really do. Honestly, everything about that was unnecessary. That guy was on the stand for the defense in order to authenticate and get the text messages in so that they could be used later. I don't know what the defense's original plan was, but they're sure as shit probably going to have to pivot because although it makes Brennan look like a see you next Tuesday, the shock value of reading certain text messages at certain times might be diminished now, unfortunately. Oh, move your little micro ass. Are you serious doing 80 in 100 zone? Bloody hell. Sorry, just give me a second.
I'll let you step down, and then, folks, I have an instruction for you that I should have read at the time that text messages came in. You can.
This is the other thing that I have an issue with. Now, she says that she made a mistake here. I personally believe that this was deliberate. She left the admonition and the instruction until after the fact. And again, I personally feel that this takes away from the strength of the text messages. And I do genuinely believe more like 40 and a 55. Or no, 35 and a 55. I genuinely believe that this was done deliberately. Honestly.
leave them right with Madam Court Reporter.
Thank you.
And you're all set. Thank you. All right, so I've told you folks previously, but I've got an additional instruction here. Before, and I think so you know this and you'll hear it at the end of the case as well. Before you consider any electronic communication in your deliberations, you must first find that it is more likely true than not that the person who authored or created or transmitted the communication was in fact the person alleged. And here we've heard it be Michael Proctor and high school friends, the testimony was, I believe. If you do not find it is more likely true than not that the person alleged to have created or sent these messages, then you may not consider the electronic communication in deciding this case. And also here, this text message chain was not being admitted for the truth of what's in the chain, but solely for the limited purpose of weighing the texts as they go to my.
And see, listen to the language of it. Now, I get that that's the generic form of it. But think about everything that guy just read, everything that Brennan just read out, and now she's saying this information was for a limited purpose. How is that not going to be the thing that sticks in the jury's mind? This is not to prove the truth of the matter. It was admitted so that you could see what was allegedly said. It's my own personal opinion, but I believe that this was done deliberately.
Michael Proctor's state of mind, and more specifically, whether or not that state of mind reflects any bias or omissions in the police investigations. So, all right, is there another witness this morning?
Here's your honor.
Okay,
We asked Officer Kelly Dever to join us, please.
okay.
Oh, here comes the next candidate for Resting Bitch Face of the Year award. I haven't watched all of her on the stand. I only got partway through it, and then I had to check out and go to sleep. But I'm personally of the opinion that this woman has to have at least beaten someone once or twice in her career for disrespecting her on the beat.
Jury in case now hearing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Good morning. Morning.
Morning, ma'am.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Good morning. Could you state your name and spell your last name for the jurors, please?
Kelly Dever.
Sorry, I'll go back and I'll restart that. Just answering Denise's question, it's a voice stenographer machine. So she's taking the court record.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Good morning. Could you state your name and spell your last name for the jurors, please?
Kelly Dever. Last name Dever.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer.
Where are you employed?
Boston Police.
How long have you been so employed with the Boston Police Department?
2 years and a little over 2 months.
Where'd you work before that?
I worked for the Canton Police.
Were you a sworn officer at that time?
At what time? When
you
I was
worked for the
employed there?
When you were employed by the Canton Police Department?
Yes, I was.
It was that initial answer there that told me everything I needed to know here. That she was going to be combative, that she was going to be a pain in the ass, and that she was going to basically be as weaselly as she could. Now, I've heard a lot of theories as to what's happened here, whether or not she got out of Canton to try and protect her career and now she's pissed being dragged back, or if it's that she's worried that her career's on the line because she saw something and now she's recanted it. And I'm very much just looking forward to the cross, because I'm guessing that things got a lot worse for her. Sorry, not the cross, the redirect.
As a sworn police officer?
Yes.
Okay. What was your duty assignment in January of 2022?
I was a patrol officer.
You're familiar with the case that's presently before the bench, correct?
In some capacity, yes.
Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
Yes.
All right. Did you ever prepare any kind of report based on any of your conduct or your connection with this case, if there was any connection with this case, while you were a Canton police officer?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by any member of the Canton Police Department in furtherance of their investigation related to the death of John O'Keefe?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by the Massachusetts State Police?
No.
Let me finish the question. I got to finish the question, then you can answer it. It works a little better that way. Were you ever interviewed by any member of the Massachusetts State Police in furtherance of their investigation into the death of John O'Keefe?
No.
Were you ever interviewed by either the Canton Police Department or the Massachusetts State Police with regard to any of your observations on January 28th or January 29th, 2022?
No.
And you never wrote a report about your observations or any observations that you had on January 28th or January 29th, 2022, correct?
No.
That was a double.
Caffeine from green coffee beans, flavors sourced from nature, no added sugar, 99.9%. Lemon zinger. Couldn't just have an orange Barocca, could I?
28th of January 29th, 2022, correct?
No.
That was a double negative. Let me try that a different way. Did you ever write a report about your observations?
Actually, MJ, I got to ask a question because just while I've got another U.S. attorney here, Massachusetts Criminal Procedure Rules 612. Why the hell would they not have already applied to have her declared an adverse/hostile witness, given that she's a current police officer and has adverse interests to Karen Reid? Why would you not do that so you could ask the leading questions? Am I missing something in terms of the way the US does it, or just curious?
Related to January 28th, 2022, January 29th, 2022.
No.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, the first time you were ever interviewed in connection with anything having to do with this case or this investigation related to the death of John O'Keefe was by a separate law enforcement agency, not the Massachusetts State Police, not the Canton Police Department, correct?
Okay, so
Yes.
it wasn't
That
just
was
me.
in August of 2023. Is that right?
Yes.
Do you remember the exact date?
No.
August 9th, 2023. Does that sound right? About right?
I know it was the summer of 2023. So
Okay. Do you think it would refresh your recollection to take a look at a report of that interview?
Well, see, the funny thing is, it's not so much about her attitude flux, because in both civil and criminal procedure laws, because I double checked, because I got it wrong initially. I'm willing to admit that, because originally I was looking at the civil procedure rules in Massachusetts, but they do have the equivalent statute in the criminal procedure. Basically, an adverse witness is someone that has adverse interests to the party that's to the party. So whether it's the plaintiff or the defendant, if it's someone that specifically has interests that go against the individual. Now, in a criminal case, that specifically applies to any current member of the police force if it's the defendant that's bringing them. She could have automatically, from the get-go, been classed as an adverse and hostile witness. And I have no idea why they chose not to, why they didn't do that from the get-go. Can we start ranting on what the person accidentally lets out? I haven't seen it yet. Let me get there, and then we can do it. She works for the state and she's got an interest in protecting her own. Exactly.
yes, because I've never seen it before.
Just insofar as the date is concerned, may I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Take a look at the bottom of that page. Just glance at that and tell me.
No, I get it, Dazza. She's an absolute bitch. But the point is, if you have someone declared a hostile/adverse witness, it allows you to ask more pointed questions. It allows you to basically do certain things that you wouldn't ordinarily be allowed to do on direct. For example, if they put Proctor on the stand, if they don't have him declared hostile, actually, no, that's not true, because he got fired. So he's not automatically an adverse witness. They would need to ask him a few questions, use his attitude, but I would be doing everything in my power to have him declared hostile.
Once you familiarize yourself with that page that report. Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Dazza, you fuck mud.
Do you have that date in mind?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that it was August 9th, 2023?
Yes.
Okay. I want to direct your attention, Officer Dever, to January 28th, 2022. Where were you working? What was your duty assignment on that day, January 28th, moving into January 29th?
Well, 3.5 years later, I remember I was on patrol. I don't remember anything further about this night.
Did you work overnight, like a late shift going into the morning of January 29th?
That was my assigned shift, so yes.
Okay. Who else was working with you?
3.5 years
on that
later, and yet you
particular
remember
day?
exactly who was working with you that night.
Sergeant Good, Officer Mullaney, Officer Seraph, and Officer Pasquarelli.
And what generally was your assignment when you went into work that night on January 28th?
Patrol.
At some point, either that evening in the early morning hours of January 29th, did you note that a call came in related to a person found in the snow, unresponsive in the snow?
Yes.
Tell me about that, the nature of the call, and where were you?
I was in my cruiser. A call came in that said,
I'll say this. I was jumping around various chats last night watching this. If any of you can feel the need to stomach it, go and have a quick look through, skim over Grant Ellis Smith's chat. He's the anti-Turtle Boy guy. I didn't realize that he's got his own cameras set up in the courtroom. It's actually a completely different setup feed. He's got like 3 different cameras pointing at various people. But he's got his logo on he's got his logo everywhere so that no one would be able to use his feed, which I think is hilarious. Like he's got like 12 of them or something just dotted across the screen. His chat were losing their mind saying that this witness was amazing and that she was schooling Jackson and like all that sort of shit. I'm just like, wow, the derangement syndrome is just astounding.
Person in a snowbank, something along those lines. Immediately followed by that transmission, my sergeant requested that I come to take over dispatch.
Is that Sergeant Good?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, in fact, respond back to Canton PD to take over dispatch?
Yes, so I was already in the parking lot of the Canton Police while this took place, so I was already at the station.
I gather
Did you know whether or not Sergeant Good?
I gather from my limited from my limited viewing of the guy that he's a scumbag, but that's my personal opinion.
Good and or any of the others responded to the location while you stayed back to handle dispatch at the police department?
Yes, that's why I went inside so he could respond.
Were you aware that Sergeant Good, did you have any knowledge at that time that Sergeant Good was familiar with or knew who Brian Albert was?
Objection.
Sustained.
Grifter, not if they're a sitting police officer. That's why I said with Proctor, it'd be a gamble because you would have to have Bev declared him a hostile witness. A police officer in a criminal case is automatically an adverse witness because if you're an officer or you're a member of the government or basically a representative of the state, in a criminal case, you're technically an adverse party.
Did you know who Brian Albert was at that time?
No.
Do you now?
Because of this case, yes.
I spoke over you. I'm so sorry. Based on this case, are you familiar with the name?
The name, yes.
Okay. Did you know Kevin Albert?
No. Oh, the detective Kevin Albert. Yes, I did.
Correct. How did you know Kevin Albert?
He was a detective for the Canton Police.
Were you aware of his relationship to Brian Albert at that time?
No.
Are you now aware of his relationship with Brian Albert?
Yes, from the media.
And what is that relationship as you know it?
Sustained.
Did you know Brian Higgins at that time?
Yes, in passing.
I'm not asking if you're social friends, asking if you knew who he was.
Yes.
How'd you know who Brian Higgins was?
He had an office in the Canton Police.
Was he a sworn police officer?
Not for us.
Was he a sworn federal agent?
Yes.
Worked for ATF?
Yes.
Okay. How long had you known and been familiar with Brian Higgins? Say, for instance, by sight, to be able to recognize who he was.
Sometime during 2020 is when I was probably first familiarized with him because that's when I was employed with the Canton Police Department first.
Okay. Pass him in the hallways, hi, bye, things like that.
Yes.
Sustained is to 4, Mr. Jackson.
Understood. Did you know him by sight?
Yes.
Could you recognize him if you saw him?
2.5 years later, no, but at the time, yes.
I'm not asking you about right now. I'm asking you back in January 2022. Could you recognize him by sight?
Yes.
Did you know who Kenneth Berkowitz was?
Yes.
Who's going to...
And all I'm going to say is if you as a police officer can't recognize someone that you had interactions with fairly regularly 2.5 years later, you shouldn't be on the force.
Kenneth Berkowitz.
He was the chief of the Canton Police.
Obviously very familiar with him. He was your boss, correct?
Yes.
When Sergeant Good instructed you to take over dispatch, explain what that meant.
It meant I walked inside and I sat down in a dispatch room.
Describe the dispatch room. What did that array look like?
It's that smart-assness that is not going to do her any favors. And the way she goes on about, oh, there were monitors and that sort of thing, like, I lost my shit. Like, I was sitting in bed trying to be quiet because Lady Overlaw'd was fast asleep next to me. But I knew if I got up, I was going to start streaming and that I would have been dead tired this morning.
Like
There was chairs and computers.
monitors?
Yes.
Does the dispatch area also have monitors of internal security camera footage?
I know there was camera screens, but I don't know if they were on TVs or computers or where in dispatch they were. I don't recollect where they were or how they would be accessed. They were in the room somewhere. I can't be more specific. I don't remember.
But you do recall seeing that there were monitors that were showing different views of internal security camera footage of Canton PD, correct?
The specifics, no. Were there? Yes.
I don't know what you mean by specifics. I'm asking you, were there monitors that you could look at that showed security camera footage from inside Canton PD, different areas, hallways, corridors, offices, the Sally port, for instance?
So 2.5 years since
You keep saying 2.5 years later.
So let her finish her answer and then ask a question.
It's been years since I've been in that room. They were somewhere in the room. Where cameras were in the Canton Police Department, I don't recall. The media's provided me information since this case took place, and I can't speak on what.
Now that she's doing deliberately. MG, correct me if I'm wrong, whether or not you guys have the same rules over there. But if you start saying that your testimony's been influenced by outside sources and it's not your own recollection, can one party move to have the testimony in its entirety stricken? Because we have this thing here where if it's not your own personal recollection and you're being so far tainted by outside sources that you're no longer a reliable witness, one party can apply to have you removed. I'm not sure if they have that there, but she'd be towing the line here at this point.
What's my recollection and what's been media provided? There are cameras. I don't know where on my memory where they are.
So has the media informed you that there were internal security monitors at the dispatch location?
So the objection is sustained. Next question.
What do you recall from the dispatch room, as you put it? What do you recall being there in terms of monitors?
I remember there was a computer screen that had information about current calls, and then there was a 911 screen next to that. Those are the two computers that I would have been positioned in front of during this time.
Fair enough, Coach Perry.
As a dispatch officer, by the way, you were a sworn officer at
Yes.
that time, correct? Uniform, badge, gun, the whole works, right?
Yes.
Had you ever been in Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes.
What's the Sallyport?
A Sallyport is a garage, essentially.
Okay. You're aware that the Sallyport garage had a camera, a security camera?
It would make sense because that's where we bring prisoners to drop them off.
Well, more than just makes sense. I'm asking you, do you recall that it had cameras that serviced the Sallyport garage? Security cameras.
It's where we brought prisoners, so there would be cameras, yes.
Okay, you're saying there would be cameras. I'm asking you, were there cameras?
According to the media, yes. I've seen the footage, so yes, there were cameras.
All right, so hold on. So I'm going to strike that off. So,
Objection.
you have to answer the question based on your own independent knowledge. Okay? And if you don't have them, tell us. But you can't reference what you know.
Oh. And trying to
All right.
rival Bev for the size of the hubs.
There were cameras in the Sallyport.
Thank you.
Amazing that you can actually answer that
Ms. Dever,
distinctly.
do you want to be here today?
I have no relation to this case,
I
so
asked you that. I asked you if you want to be here today.
Objection, this isn't direct.
So it's your witness.
I understand.
She can, no comments, just questions. Not, I understand that.
And that's the point. Your Honor, she's a sitting police officer. This is a criminal trial. She's an adverse witness. I don't understand why they didn't.
Do you want to be here today now?
I am put on the stand in a murder trial. I don't know why I'm here. I have no connection to this case.
You have no idea why you're
Well,
here?
that's bullshit. You made statements
You've
to...
never talked to me. Nobody on the fence seems to talk to me since
Other
prior to the
agents?
first trial. So I don't have any idea why I'm here.
No clue whatsoever, as you sit here, why you might have been called to the stand.
No.
Are you uncomfortable testifying?
No, it's part of my job.
You're a professional police officer, correct?
Correct.
That means you're a professional witness to.
So you're just this much of a raging bitch every day? Holy fuck, you should not be on the force.
Certainly, correct?
In the crimes that I've gone on the stand before, yes, I have been.
And you understand the oath?
Yes, I do.
What is that oath?
The oath is to tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'll rephrase it. Is there more to that oath when you raise your right hand as a witness?
Object.
So I'm going to see it side by for just a
Sure.
No, I genuinely think it's more to it than that, Dazza. She knows that this could cause her career to go up in flames because she knows what she testified to previously. She knows that there's a good chance that her false memory story isn't going to fly, and that she may get rehomed like
One of the cameras, one of the monitors that you had access to back on January 29th did show the footage from, or did it show the footage from that, one of the other Sallyport garage cameras?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure, it was a little bit clunky on my part. Did one of the monitors that you looked at, that you had access to at the dispatch area, did it show the video footage or the video feed from the Sallyport garage?
So I already said I don't remember where in dispatch the screen with the cameras was. There was a camera in the Sallyport. So if I'm going to make the assumption, then yes, of course. But now that's an assumption.
I'm not asking you for an assumption now. I'm asking you, did one of the feeds, now we're talking about the camera, the other side of the camera is the feed. Do you recall whether or not there was footage that you could see on a monitor in the dispatch area that showed the Sallyport?
I'm going to go with yes.
Okay.
My clarification.
How long?
So I don't know what that means. So what do you mean you're going to go with yes? Is your answer yes?
she's taken way too long to formulate her answers.
Yes.
Thank
This
you.
is a really
Um,
bad look.
What time about did you take over the dispatch desk that morning?
Immediately following when the 911 call came in.
Would have been 6-ish in the morning. Does that sound about right?
Sometime I would say towards the later of my shift, but it was the middle of winter and dark out. So I don't know if it was 4, 5, 6.
Understood. But it was still dark out.
Yes.
Once you took over the dispatch desk, did you stay there even past your normal shift ending to support the investigation that was ongoing?
Not to support the investigation. I was just on overtime.
Okay. So you stayed past your normal end time of your shift that day.
Yes, on overtime.
You stayed into the afternoon, correct?
I believe the shift ended at 3:45 p.m. for the Canton Police.
But you stayed past your ending shift time, correct?
Action.
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase it. Did you stay past your ending shift time?
For my regular shift, yes, because I was on overtime on the day shift.
Did you observe anything unusual that stood out in your mind that occurred, pardon me, in the Sallyport while you were on that shift?
So we've discussed this previously. I can't make.
And here's her trying to get out ahead of what she reported to various individuals. And I heard this part last night. I'm going to listen to it again and try and analyze it in a not sleep-deprived brain, because this might be one of the most rehearsed lies or rehearsed recollections I've heard come from a fucking police officer.
Make that statement on the stand because I've been provided information released by the defense that it was not a memory, that it was a distorted memory. Therefore, I can't state it because at this point it would be a lie. I cannot make that statement that you're wanting me to make on the stand because I've advised that that would be a lie.
Ms. Dever, I've never asked you to make a statement one way or the other on the stand. I'm asking you an open-ended question.
Okay,
Did
so
you,
prior to
let
the
me ask
first,
you a question. Did you observe something in the Sallyport garage on January 29th, 2022 that you found unusual, stuck out in your mind?
given factual information that makes it so I know I did not, no.
So the answer is no.
Correct.
Do you remember being interviewed on August 9th, 2023?
I do.
That was by a separate law enforcement agency, correct?
Yes.
Two separate law.
She previously said she saw something, and now she's being said, I was told by other individuals that I did not see what I said I saw. I was told by a third party that I did not see what I previously said I saw. Let that sink in.
Law enforcement agents, is that right?
Yes.
And you were advised during the course of that interview on August 29th of something, correct?
Can you rephrase
I'm sorry,
that?
August 9th.
So what was I advised of? Can you rephrase that?
Sure. Were you advised that lying to those officers would be a crime?
So it was a willing conversation. I've spoken with their legal team. Because of the fact I was provided factual information that showed a statement of mine was a false memory, it was not a lie. Therefore, I made it in good faith, and I retracted given information that it could not be accurate.
Ms. Dever, did you understand my question?
Yes, I did. You threatened to charge me with perjury during our phone call prior to the first trial if I didn't lie on the stand right now. I'm telling you, I did not see anything. Factually, I've been provided evidence by a timeline that it is not correct.
Ms. Dever, my question was this. Were you advised that it was a crime to lie to those law enforcement agents? Yes or no?
No.
They never told you. They never.
So my next question is, so if you believe that what you said was factually inaccurate, what was the statement that you believed was factually inaccurate?
They admonished you that it would be a crime to lie to them?
Objection. Sustained. As to form, Mr. Jackson.
Sure. Did they advise you of anything? Any consequences of lying to them?
So we had a willing conversation.
Yes or no?
I don't recall.
So, okay, there's your answer.
You don't recall if they advised you of anything?
No, because it
As
wasn't.
a trained law enforcement agent.
Go ahead and
Bullshit. She's a cop and they were FBI agents. Not only do I genuinely believe that they read verbatim off of a card, I think there's a half a chance they had her sign something that she understood what she was saying.
ask a question, but both of you only one at a time, okay?
As a trained law enforcement officer, are you aware that it's a crime to lie to certain other law enforcement agents?
When you have intent to lie, yes.
Okay. So you knew that when you spoke to these law enforcement officers, correct?
Yes.
Did you tell these law enforcement officers that you, in fact, saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport with the
Objection.
SUV? May I finish my question?
You can finish this question. Go ahead.
Did you tell those law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, that you saw Brian Higgins and Chief Berkowitz go into the Sallyport together and alone with the SUV for a wildly long time?
That was my recollection at the time.
So you did say that?
At the time, that is what I recollected.
Okay. Did you indicate that you noted let me have just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
You and I spoke along with Mr. Unetti and Ms. Little on a conference call last year sometime. You remember that?
Yes.
Between the time that you were interviewed on August 9th, 2023, and when we spoke sometime in maybe it was April or so of last year, does that sound about right?
Yes.
Did you have any conversation with any other party about your potential involvement in this case?
No.
Did you have a conversation with anybody in the commissioner's office at Boston Police Department?
Not about anything malicious.
I didn't use the word malicious. Why do you say malicious?
I had a conversation, but it was my department saying, regardless of what I need to say on the stand, they support me.
You were asked to go to the commissioner's office, correct?
Yes.
How long did you
Regardless of what you say on the stand, we stand behind you, provided you say exactly what we tell you to.
been on the Boston Police Department at the time that you were invited to go up to Commissioner Michael Proctor's office?
It had to have been before the first trial. So, and I know it was when the agency released information to outside
That's
people.
not my question.
Okay, so I don't recall.
Okay. You don't recall how long you had been on the force, generally, at the time that you were called up to the commissioner's office, on the Boston Police Department?
No.
Was it 5 years, 2 years, 2 months? Give me a ballpark.
So I've been on the department for 2 years and 2 months. I would say somewhere in the range of a year.
Okay. Did you find it unusual for would you call yourself a rookie back then?
Yes.
did you find it unusual that a rookie police officer would be called up to the commissioner's office personally to discuss that?
It was a reflection of how good of a leader he is. It was not anything that I found unusual, given the fact he is someone who wanted to show support for his officer.
So I'm guessing all of your training class or all of your entry classes in Boston PD, they've all gone up to the commissioner's office as well?
I don't know anyone else who's been in this particular circumstance.
Do you know anybody else who's been called up to the commissioner's office at your level at the Boston Police Department?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know of any of your colleagues with your level of experience that have been called up to the commissioner's office for a specific instance?
Objection.
That's sustained.
Now, when you went up to the commissioner's office, did you respond to his indication that he wanted to see you up in his office?
It wasn't a direct line of contact from him.
Okay. Did you respond? Did you ultimately go? That's what I mean by respond. Did you go to his office?
He's my boss, so yes.
Okay. And who else was in that office?
Me and him. The two of us.
General counsel of the Boston Police Department?
No, it's just me and him.
During the conversation that we had last year, did you say that general legal counsel for the Boston Police Department was also there?
Objection.
Not during that conversation.
Objection.
Next question.
Sure. Was there another time that you went to the commissioner's office where general legal counsel was there?
No.
You ever met general legal counsel for the Boston Police Department?
Wait, what?
Yes.
Was it in the commissioner's office?
No.
When was it?
During my conversation with the agents.
You took a lawyer with you to talk to this other law enforcement agency?
I'm going to see you type out of this.
Oh, Bev stopped him. He was getting close. Oh, I just want that door to be blown wide open. I really do. God, such a hostile, argumentative bitch. She knows damn well what she saw. She knows damn well what she reported to the feds she saw. And she knows damn well that the only reason she's doing this is to protect her own damn career. Bloody hell. I know what's coming, but I don't know that it's enough that anything's going to happen. So I'm going to be interested to see exactly what happens on redirect. Dazza, thank you for speaking, mate.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Dever, when we left off, I was asking you about the meeting at the commissioner's office. And I want to clear this up. Was general legal counsel in that office or not when you had a meeting with the commissioner, Michael Cox?
No, it was just me and the commissioner.
At some point, did the commissioner say to you that Boston Police Department, insofar as your connection to this case is concerned, Boston Police Department fully supports you?
Yes.
Did he also say, do the right thing?
That's a direct quote. So I can't recollect if he said a direct quote 2 years ago.
A year ago, when you talked to us, the defense, did you tell the defense that when you were called up to the commissioner's office, he told you two things? Commissioner Cox told you, number one, Boston Police Department supports you, and Officer Deaver, do the right thing.
So he said my name correctly. He said Dever. And
That's my mistake. Now, let's see, you want me to repeat the question so I get
So
Catty bitch. That was not only was that unnecessary, but I mean, given that Brennan's been saying wrong names and wrong words the entire time, and yes, I agree, MG. I think she's lying through her teeth, because there is no way in hell that there was any written notes taken during that meeting, and I can fully expect that General Counsel for the PD would have been in that meeting.
Mr. Jackson, let's go ahead and answer, please.
yes, and he said nothing with the intent of guiding me one way or the other.
What his intent was, madam. I asked you what he said to you. What were his words to you?
That he supports me.
And
Just wanted me to tell the truth up here.
his words were, do the right thing, correct?
I don't recall.
Wrong answer, sweetheart.
How many other times have you testified in a court of law during the course of your job?
Two dozen, 3 dozen.
And
Actually testified probably ballpark a dozen times.
in any of those other cases, has Commissioner Michael Cox called you up to his office to discuss your testimony in any of those cases? Yes or no?
That's not a yes or a no answer.
Well, yes, it actually is, Ms. Dever.
So
It actually is,
comments,
yes.
You understand the question?
The question, yes. The implication,
The question is, in any of those, I'm asking you an open-ended question. In any of those cases, Officer Dever, not including this one, has Commissioner Michael Cox ordered you up to his office to discuss your testimony?
no.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Straight into the point. That's all it was necessary.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My name's Hank Brennan. We have never met before.
Correct.
Have you ever spoken to me before?
No.
The def-
I'll admit, I was half expecting him to say, "Have I ever threatened you with perjury before?" Just to try and get on a good side, like for crying
defense
out loud.
team, Attorney Jackson asked you some questions this morning.
Yes.
It sounds like you've met them before.
Only by phone call.
How many times have you spoken to Attorney Jackson or anybody on the defense team before today?
Prior to the first trial, it was one phone call where we discussed the case. Outside of that, there may have been one other phone call before the first trial, but it wasn't a discussion of the case. And then prior to this trial, I received a phone call that said, confirm you will be available for one of these days.
Other than confirming you'd be available, was there any discussion before this trial with anybody on the defense?
Not about this case, no.
So the conversation, the substantive conversation was before the past event last year?
Yes, a year and a few months ago.
You worked at the Canton Police Department?
Yes, I did.
You were a police
Right. Memory cutoff is a year and 6 months, give or take. Anything beyond that, she can't remember.
officer.
Yes, I was.
And it sounds like on January 29, 2022, at some point you were asked to attend the desk.
Yes.
The desk is at the front of the police department where you see people coming in and out of the police station.
Yes, there's glass windows.
That night, did you have any difficulty with your memory of the specific things that you saw that night?
I was never on the scene. I never spoke to a witness. I never met a victim. I never spoke with a
That's not
suspect.
what he asked.
This was just a random shift for me 3.5 years ago at a desk that I wasn't asked to recollect.
Where you allegedly initially saw the chief of police and an ATF officer interference, and you reported that to the FBI. And now, because you have been provided factual information, you're saying that you have changed and recanted what you saw. Because you cannot have seen what you allegedly saw. That's a crock of shit.
For about a year and a half after the occurrences of that night.
Did law enforcement, not the state police or Canton police, did law enforcement ask you about your memory sometime after that night?
The agents asked me about a year and a half later. It was the August of 2023 meeting.
When they,
So actually a year and 8 months later was the first time I ever spoke about this case.
when they spoke to you a year and 8 months later, did you suggest or share or tell them that you might have seen Chief Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins near the Sallyport area?
I told them on the day of that I saw that. I didn't make any indications it was anything bad. I just said I saw them. And it was in good faith that I believed I saw that. That was the extent of that comment.
So you had told them you believed you saw Mr. Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins in the Sallyport area that day?
On January 29th during my day shift, yes.
Did you then learn any information that helped you remember when your shift ended that day?
So I know my shift ended at 3:45 p.m. So I know that I left then. That wasn't ever one of my questions. The defense released a timeline right prior to the first trial that the vehicle on that day did not arrive in the Sallyport until about an hour and a half after I left, meaning it is not possible that I saw that.
When you saw this information, did you think about
You didn't actually leave at 3:45. Because a whole bunch of officers had to vacate the station because one of their own had been found on the street.
your memory?
So when I saw that information, it made it clear to me that there was a distortion of the timeline, and the false memory I created, I provided in good faith, but I retracted immediately, being provided evidence that it was not possible.
Who did you retract it to? Who did you tell?
So I told the defense team prior to the first trial. I also contacted the agents. The agents assured me that good faith.
Not what they said, but what you thought. Not what they said to you, but
Did they threaten to put you in jail when you told them about your mistake?
No, I even spoke with the legal team, and they said that I made a comment in good faith. There was absolutely no way that I could be charged with anything of being malicious.
Objection.
Before we get to
Still
the
saying what they
conversation with the
said.
defense team, now, I wasn't there in that conversation, was I?
No.
You shared that conversation with me?
I've never shared it with anyone.
Before we get to that, you seem a bit anxious today. Are you anxious?
Confused as to why I'm here, but anxious now.
Are you, have you received any negative pushback because of you sharing your memory?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
No,
Have you received any unwarranted attention from the public or media?
not to my knowledge, but I didn't go digging to find it.
When you mentioned the media sent you something, what did they send you?
So I've seen things in the media. No media has ever been directed for me to find it. It's just this case is unavoidable as a local person on the internet who sees things that get shared.
So inevitably, you were contacted by the defense.
Yes, prior to the first trial.
You mentioned that somebody had suggested you be charged with perjury.
Yes,
Who did that?
one of the male members of the defense team.
Why did they say that to you?
Objection.
Sustained.
What were you discussing when you were threatened with perjury?
They were essentially telling me what they were looking for me to say on the stand.
What were they looking for you to say?
They were looking for me to say that I saw Higgins and Berkowitz in the garage with the car.
Did you share with them that that wasn't an
It was Higgins and Berkowitz in the garage with the car. Cluedo!
accurate memory?
Yes,
How did they respond?
they became very aggressive, raised their voices, and the one word that I can very definitely remember is they said that they would charge me with perjury.
What did they want you to say?
They wanted me to say that statement, although I
See, that's a crock of shit because the defense themselves know that you can't charge someone with perjury. You can recommend it, but the defense can't do shit. Now, if they've got a sworn statement from the FBI, and she's now changing her statement, she's saying she's recanted or whatever else, they can obviously say to her, yeah, look, well, we believe that would be perjury.
knew at that point it was not an accurate statement given the timeline.
How many times were you threatened with perjury?
At least once during the phone call, but once you say it once, it was enough.
What else happened during that phone call? Tell us the tenor of it. Tell us the content of it.
That was essentially the thing I remember most because I understood that was what they wanted me to provide for the trial. I was never called for the first trial. Therefore, I'm not exactly sure what else there is for me to say when the one thing that they wanted on the stand, it is factually not correct and cannot be provided.
When they threatened you to charge with perjury, tell us what your state of mind was. You demean it.
Disappointment that legal counsel would go that route with someone who is from a factual timeline saying something is incorrect.
You want to talk disappointment? How about disappointment in the law enforcement agencies that are supposed to investigate the murder of one of their own? How about that?
There was no retracting based on emotion. It was very clear, given the timeline, it could not be correct.
Now, you work for the Boston Police Department.
Yes,
By the way, when you were with Canton, did you ever talk to anybody about creating or planting evidence or doing anything like that?
no, and this conspiracy theory came out a year and a half later. I was gone.
Did anybody from Canton ever try to suggest to you you should or shouldn't say something to help her side of the case?
No, because I was never spoken to until far after I left.
Did you ever see anybody in this case or any time when you were with Canton doing something improper and tampering with evidence?
Not in this case or any case.
If you had, would you have reported it?
Yes,
Sustained.
Move to strike.
I'll strike that, ladies and gentlemen.
So you transferred to the Boston Police Department. Has anybody from the Boston Police Department ever suggested that you should lean your testimony one way or another?
No.
Has anybody from the Boston Police Department given you any rewards or favors for defying the defense position?
no,
Has anybody ever suggested that you should say anything whatsoever that would be unhelpful to the defense?
no,
Has the North Carolina District Attorney's Office ever encouraged you to testify in any way other than the truth?
no.
When you spoke to the chief of the Boston Police Department, did he in any way
has anyone who has ever acted as an agent or on behalf of any of these individual organizations ever contacted you to discuss your testimony and suggest?
Did I ever tell you to shape your testimony?
Not at all.
When you met with the Boston Police Department Commissioner, did he ever ask you the substance of what your testimony would or wouldn't be under oath?
He made it very clear he did not want to discuss the case at all.
When you spoke to the people at the Boston Police Department, have they ever weighed in any way on what they think you should or shouldn't say?
No.
As you're testifying here today, are you under any tension, undue influence, stress, threat?
There is discomfort with the way that there's attempting to guide what my testimony is, but I don't feel any need to fall into it because I'm here to speak the truth on the stand. That's my livelihood.
When you were threatened,
Oh,
how
shit.
was that conversation with the defense?
I believe it was just about an hour on the phone. My phone log on my physical phone would not go back far enough for me to be able to retrieve the date or the time that phone call took place.
That conversation lasted an hour.
Approximately.
Sorry, what?
Not on a good note in the slightest. I remember it was a pretty hasty hang up on both ends.
Oh. Thank you for your time.
Oh, here we go. I was worried we wouldn't get to the redirect before I got to work.
Yes.
Sidebar. Damn, that was blurry.
You're a police officer, correct?
Yes,
Who charges people with crimes?
if a crime is committed, there can be a report of it.
Who
So
charges people with crimes?
in the end, it's going to go through the court system. So the district attorney, the ADAs, that's who pursues it in a court.
She's trying to weasel out of it. Who arrests people for crimes?
Setting.
Have you ever seen a defense attorney charge anybody with a crime?
So you can seek out reporting someone for it.
Have you ever seen a defense attorney charge someone with a crime, ma'am?
Personally, no.
Right. The fact of the matter is, nobody ever threatened you with perjury, did they?
Oh, they did. Yes.
That's it. That's
I contacted the FBI regarding it.
Oh, did you?
I did.
You have a report?
I have an email conversation where I sent the 2 questions I had. She responded, I will pass these along. I was contacted by their legal team. They reassured me perjury was not applicable because I made a statement in good faith. Upon further information, I retracted it, corrected it, and made it clear that I could no longer say it because I knew that it was not a clear reflection of the events.
Hopefully at this point, the jury's perked up and gone, well, what, the FBI were involved? Why is this the first we're hearing about this?
That took place.
That's a mouthful.
Yes,
My question is, do you have a report from the FBI saying that you reported that someone on the Karen Reed defense team threatened to charge you, your words, with perjury? You have a
No.
report to that effect?
no.
No. Your job as a police officer is to be objective, isn't it?
Yes,
You're not supposed to take an adversarial position against one side or the other, correct?
I don't.
Just right down the middle, just the facts, as you know them, correct?
Yes,
You feel like you're being unbiased in your testimony here today in front of these jurors?
I'm telling the truth.
You think you're being fair to both sides?
All I have to do is tell the truth. If it's not perceived to be fair, that's someone else's opinion.
Let's talk about that truth for a second. What you told those law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023 was, quote, you recalled seeing Higgins at the station later that day on Saturday. Dever thought it was also weird that Higgins and Chief Kenny Berkowitz were by themselves in the sally port of the police department, by themselves while Karen Reed's car was parked inside. Higgins was a witness and present at the gathering where O'Keefe was found dead outside, and then he was in the presence of important evidence. You were sitting at dispatch by yourself and saw on the camera outside of the sally port when they walked in.
Objection to the entire reading.
So beyond the
On what
scope,
basis?
so you have to keep it.
There's more to the statement, Your Honor.
Oh, she had to search for a reason to justify that objection then. Damn. It's her own damn words. It's an impeaching statement.
So beyond the scope, so you have to keep it.
There's more to the statement, Your Honor. Do you remember making that statement to the officers?
My recollection of the time was that. So yes.
Okay, great. Did you go on to say, speaking of being truthful, did you go on to say,
I'm objecting.
All right, so you have to ask differently, but I need to see you for a minute with this and bring that with you, please.
She was reaching there. Oh, this is going to get fun. It's her own prior statement. It doesn't matter if she says, oh, well, I've changed it based on information that's provided to me. She said it at the time. He's entitled to use it.
may I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. Officer Dever, did you go on to say in that interview, quote, you never saw them leave, them being Brian Higgins
Brandon lost
and
that
Chief
one.
Ken Berkowitz. You never saw them leave, but you recalled thinking to yourself that they were in the Sally Port for a wildly long time together in there, end quote. Did you say that?
That was my recollection of the time.
Okay.
So yes.
Have you ever heard of, by the way, you indicated under questioning by Mr. Brennan that you knew what they wanted from me, meaning the defense, what they wanted from me. You
Yes.
understand that?
Yes.
You remember on that phone call that we read directly from the exact same report that I just read from? You remember that?
And I told you the same thing then.
That's not
Yes.
my question.
Objection.
Sustained.
My question is, just answer my question, Officer Dever. Did we read to you, were you read the exact same thing that I just read to you on that phone call?
Like you can't remember my name. I don't remember.
I can remember your name.
Oh,
Okay, so
whoa!
the answer is that
Whoa! Fuck you, bitch! Damn, I almost dropped a C-bomb. Argumentative cow! Like you can't remember my name, I can't remember that. So, based on that, you're choosing not to remember then, is basically the inference you're making there. Damn. You know what? I'm going to go back to the tape on that one.
Exact same thing that I just read to you on that phone call.
Like you can't remember my name. I don't remember.
I can remember your name, Miss Dever.
okay. So the answer is I don't remember. No comments.
More than that, Judge. I think we all.
All right. So no comments. Just questions, please.
Do you recall us telling you that we were looking for the truth about your
Objection.
comments?
I'm going to allow it.
That we were looking for the truth.
Which I gave you. Yes.
Did you also say on that phone call something to the effect of, I know you're going to tear me a new one because I'm changing my testimony?
Changing, no. But you're trying to do that.
Did you say, I know you're going to tear me a new one?
That's what you're trying to do. So yes.
Actually, what you said was, you're going to tear me a new asshole, didn't you?
I don't recall that. So that's putting words in my mouth.
I'm not asking you to put words in your mouth. I'm asking you if you remember saying that during that phone call. Oh,
I don't
I know
recall.
you're going to tear me a new asshole.
I don't recall.
Okay. But you do remember saying something to the effect of, I know you're going to tear me a new one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard of something called the blue wall of silence?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you think it's important for police officers to protect one another in the field and out?
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you spoken with anyone, not Mr. Brennan, he's covered that, spoken with anyone from the district attorney's office about your involvement in this case? Ever?
No.
Never?
Unless you're going to provide a person. I've never talked to any of these people.
Have you talked to anyone at the...
Unless you're going to provide evidence, I'm going to deny it. That has been the running theme for most of this trial. A number of the prosecution's witnesses said the exact same thing. Well, unless you can provide me a report or a person, I'm going to deny having ever said it because you can't otherwise prove it. Honestly. And that's a lie. She spoke to the FBI, exactly.
DA's office at all, in any regard?
Not to my recollection.
How about indirectly?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you friends with any people that you're aware of that are connected to this case? Are you personal friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, personal friends with anyone who's connected with this case?
Other people who's been on the witness stand, one person, yes.
Who's that?
Sarah Levinson.
How long have you known Sarah?
We became friends in middle school.
Did you watch any of the trial, this trial?
Clips in passing, but no, it's 6 hours a day. So I work during the day shift, no.
So you've seen some of the footage of the goings on in this case, correct?
Yes, nothing with her. I did not watch her testimony.
Were you aware there was a sequestration order?
I don't know what that means, so no.
You're a sworn police officer, you don't know what sequestration means
No.
in terms of witnesses? Not
No.
watching the
Oh.
proceedings in order to affect their testimony?
Damn.
No, I wasn't aware.
But you did tune in to the case, correct?
In small clips, yes.
And you did, in fact, on August 9th, 2023, have a fulsome conversation with two sworn police officers.
She's the bloody one that got up on the stand and said, this case is so prevalent you can't miss it on the internet. And now she's sitting there going, no, I don't know what the sequestration order in relation to the witnesses is. What a crock of shit. Oh, she's just trying to get herself struck off the record at this point, I think.
Officers about your memory of what you saw, your observations on January 29th, 2022, correct?
I don't know if they're police officers necessarily, but yes.
Law enforcement agents, how about that?
Yes.
She's arguing whether or not the FBI agents are police officers. Look, they're probably not. But the more you keep saying it, sweetheart, the more Jackson's going to be able to dig and point out to the fact that you were talking with the FBI who were investigating the police. Oh, my God.
And that conversation is reflected in this piece of paper that I just read to you, correct?
Yes.
Thanks. That's all I have.
Okay.
Were you subpoenaed by the Commonwealth in this case?
No.
You were subpoenaed by the defense.
Yes.
Did they tell you that there was a sequestration order or that you shouldn't watch any of the footage? Did they fairly inform you about what the ground rules were?
No. And I wasn't part of the first trial, so I had no idea about anything to do with this trial.
When you spoke to those law enforcement officers back in 2023, do you know that they made a report where you had informed them that you knew Sarah Levinson and that report had been provided to the defense a long time ago? Did you know
Yes, I informed them very clearly.
So the question about if you know Sarah Levinson, that's no secret in your world, is it?
In that form, I'll sustain it.
That isn't a secret, is it?
Not at all.
That's something you were open and candid about?
Yes.
It's still not something that the jury were aware of and privy to and that needed to be brought up in front of them.
Do you understand that regardless of what you say, it doesn't matter as long as it's the truth? Do you understand that?
Yes.
The Commonwealth in no way is asking you to accommodate it or please it in any way. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If there was something that may be perceived by others as adverse to the Commonwealth, you understand we would want you to tell that if it was the truth, don't you?
Sustained.
You understand, well, the Commonwealth has never intimated, suggested, or advised you to say anything other than the truth, have they?
No.
Have you been given any consideration or reward because you remedied your memory?
No.
After
She kept her
being
job.
shown the evidence that you left that day, January 29, 2022 at 3:45, and learning that the defendant's car did not get to the Sally Port at 5:30 or so p.m., is there any way you could have seen Mr. Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins in the Sally Port with the defendant's car that night before you left for work?
There is.
Yes. And I would say that would probably boil down to she may have clocked out but stayed at the station. Fairly straightforward. Unless you can definitively tell me that there is video of her exiting the building and not returning, or clocking out, exiting the... Yeah, well, I mean, clocking out and exiting the building, basically, and not returning. Show me the footage of her leaving. Prove to me that she didn't work additional overtime.
No way.
Understanding you made a mistake, was the defense receptive to your explanation that you made a mistake?
Objection.
Sustained in that form.
Did the defense pressure you when you told them you were going to come into this court and tell the truth about your mistake?
Objection.
I'm gonna allow it.
Of course you are.
Can you rephrase it?
Yes. When you told the defense you had made a mistake about your memory, did they pressure you?
Yes.
Did they pressure you to say something other than the truth?
Yes, they wanted me to repeat a lie at that point, given it would have been with malicious intent to repeat it.
Understanding a lawyer has no power to charge with contempt, does that change the reality of whether or not you were threatened? Let me ask it a different way. You were asked questions about whether or not you knew who could take out charges for a crime. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Regardless of whether an attorney has that power, were you threatened that there'd be a charge of perjury if you didn't comply with the defense wishes in this case?
Yes.
And knowing you were going to come into court, given this experience you had with the defense, is that why you felt like they were going to tear you? Is that the phrase we used?
Yes, because they did not want me to tell the truth. So I told them that knowing they were kind of trying to eat me alive into repeating something that is not the truth.
Rather than to come in here and be attacked, wouldn't it have been easier just to said what you had earlier thought was true?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Wouldn't it be easier just to come in and accommodate them rather than be threatened?
Well, of course.
So why did you come in here?
My entire job revolves around what I say on the stand right now. If I was to lie, I lose my job.
That is probably the only piece of truth that I think she said on the stand. My job revolves around what I say on the stand right now. That is probably the only true sentence I think she said.
I lose everything. I'm here to tell the truth. I cannot lie while sitting on the stand.
Thank you.
One question.
Okay.
Your entire job revolves around what you say on the witness stand. Is that what you just testified to?
Yes.
And if you agree that what you said to those two law enforcement agents on August 9th, 2023, you would be implicating not one, but two police officers, law enforcement officers, correct? If you agreed with what you said in August of 2023 on this witness stand, you would be implicating two officers, fellow officers, correct?
So I'm confused as to what you're asking.
You would be implicating, if you agreed with me, you have not agreed that that was the truth. You've now indicated that what you told to law enforcement agents in August of 2023 was a lie.
No,
If you agreed with that statement here on the witness stand, you would be implicating two officers as having been in the Sally Port, weirdly, for a wildly long time with the SUV, implicating not one, but two fellow officers, correct? That's what you would be doing.
it's not possible I saw
If you
that.
agreed with me, would you be implicating the reputations of two officers?
If I was to lie, then yes.
Yeah,
And your entire job revolves around what you say on that witness stand. That's what you said, correct?
I'm still,
That's what you just said, Officer Dipper, correct?
I still don't really understand the question.
You just said, all I'm asking you is what you just said. I wrote it down. You just said, my entire job revolves around what I say on the witness stand, correct?
Yes to that
Thank
question.
you. That's all I have.
I'm confused. When you spoke to those agents, you didn't implicate Chief Berkowitz and Mr. Higgins with doing anything criminal, did you?
No, they were friends. That's why Higgins had an office there.
You didn't implicate them ever suggesting they had tampered with evidence, did you?
No.
You never implicated them saying that they had framed anybody, did you?
No.
So when you talked to those agents, did you ever suggest that Mr. Higgins and Mr. Berkowitz did anything to touch or tamper with the defendant's Lexus at all?
No.
Never.
No.
Is there anybody you're protecting?
Trying to
I
avoid
have no one to
calls,
protect.
did not
Do
go
you need
well.
to protect anybody?
No.
All right, Officer Devon, you're awesome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, juries will take our morning recess, 20 minutes.
All rise, please. There's those your notebooks to follow me.
Damn. He jumped on it as soon as I noticed it. That was well played, Jackson. Well played. She knows she done fucked up. Because it's true, it's her own exact words. Her entire job depends on what she says on that stand right there. No, of course nothing's going to happen to her, Jason. Not a damn thing. But I'm hoping that the jury were paying a lot of attention to what just happened. So they say 20 minutes. She'll get promoted. God, could you imagine? Her as a captain or a lieutenant? Jesus. Oh, gotta be careful. Bit of a dip there.
What medical license? First license.
Oop, too far. Oh, it's Dr. Russell!
Put it back in session, meeting.
So, Mr. Alessi, you're at the podium. Who is your witness?
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense calls Dr. Marie Russell.
I've been looking forward to this. Spanky's gonna get owned.
Follow me, please.
I wonder if she's gonna have her arm up on the podium again and just be so relaxed as she gives the testimony.
And you're going to step up and face the court and raise your right hand. Thank you.
You solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in case I'm here to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Can you have a seat?
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right,
Morning.
Mr. Alessi, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your full name and spell your last name and introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, Marie Russell, Russell.
Can you summarize your professional background?
Yes, I am an emergency physician and a forensic pathologist.
How long have you been an emergency medicine physician?
For over 30 years.
How long have you been a forensic pathologist?
For over 30 years.
Do you have a medical license?
I do, several.
When were you first licensed to practice medicine?
In 1988.
What medical licenses do you currently hold?
Well, I have a physician and surgeon license in California, a medical license in Massachusetts, New York, and Idaho.
Where did you attend college?
I attended both MIT and Northeastern University here in Massachusetts.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I said in Massachusetts.
When did you attend pre-med and what was your major for MIT?
Yes, when I was at MIT, that was in 1972 to early 1974, I took pre-med courses. My major was biology, but I took pre-med courses.
Did you obtain a degree from MIT?
No.
Why not?
Unfortunately, my mother became sick with cancer, and I ended up going back to New York.
Where did you ultimately obtain your bachelor's degree and which degree was it?
Well, after my mother passed away, I came back to Massachusetts, and ultimately I obtained my degree at Northeastern University. And what was the other part of the question?
Did you have any distinction with regard to your degree that you achieved from Northeastern?
Yes, I obtained a bachelor's degree with the highest honors.
After college, did you go on to receive a doctor of medicine?
Yes.
Where did you attend medical school and when did you obtain your medical degree?
I attended the University of Massachusetts in Worcester medical school, and I obtained the medical degree in 1987.
Did you complete any residencies? And if you also could just explain to the jury very briefly what a residency is.
Yes, I completed an internship and residency in emergency medicine initially. And what that is internship is and residency both are very intense years of study and training and getting experience in particular.
AT1, don't worry about it. She makes everybody look like an underachiever.
Area. So I obtained the internship, I completed the internship and residency in emergency medicine.
Where did you obtain those internships and residency?
Well, I was interested in emergency medicine, so I went to Los Angeles because they had a very, very busy emergency medicine program.
And it may be obvious, but let's just make it perfectly clear. Why is Los Angeles very busy for an emergency medicine practice?
Well, it's a big city. And in this particular hospital that I was at, it was right in the heart of the city. It was in the, well, near the downtown, but it was in a very, very busy and underserved area. So it was very busy.
Did you complete any fellowships, and could you please explain to the jury the significance and prestige of a fellowship?
Yes. So after my residency in emergency medicine, I then decided to do a second residency. And that was in pathology, in anatomic pathology. Pathology, of course, is the study of disease. And so I did the 2 years of anatomic pathology, also at the same busy medical center. And after that, I did a fellowship, 2-year fellowship in forensic pathology at the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office.
What did your forensic pathology fellowship involve?
Well, forensic pathology training involves the investigation of deaths, usually sudden and unexpected deaths. And so I investigated many death cases. I performed over 500 autopsies at the medical examiner's office for sudden and unexplained, sometimes unexplained, sometimes very obvious deaths, but sudden deaths. And then in addition to that, there were classroom hours, there was on-scene time, there was time in the crime lab. We spent a week at the crime lab. I spent some time at the FBI. So it was a very, very comprehensive training program.
Approximately how many autopsies were you performing a day?
Oh, usually 1 to 2, unless there was another assignment.
In addition to performing the 1 or 2 autopsies a day, did you attend any conferences or participate in any forensic case discussions as part of the fellowship?
Yes, so it was very organized, and we had conferences on some mostly Thursdays, but also sometimes on Tuesdays. Interesting case conferences or very structured lectures.
You spoke of cases. Can you briefly tell the jury so they have an understanding of the type of cases that you would typically work on as part of your forensic pathology fellowship?
Well, there were many unexplained deaths. So some of them would be natural deaths in somebody who might be a little younger than, usual old age. And then there were cases where there might be a drug overdose. Many cases were accident victims, including car accident victims and other kinds of accidents. There were quite a few homicides, and in fact, many homicides, and quite a few suicides.
Did any of those cases deal with wounds and wound patterns and wound identification?
Many of them, in fact, I would say almost most of them, because part of the examination, and a very important part of the examination, is the external examination of the body. So before I was allowed to even start an autopsy, I had to do a complete external examination of the decedent's body, looking for any kinds of wounds or abnormalities.
We'll come back to wound pattern recognition a little later. But again, I think it's probably clear to most people, but just to be ultimately clear, when you talk about external, can you just elaborate a little what you mean by that?
So the external examination is of the exterior of the body, the skin, the hair, the eyes, looking for, amongst things looking for also would be rashes and scars and those sorts of things. So that's the external examination.
In external, Dr. Russell, is to be contrasted with what?
Oh, with an internal examination. So after all that is done, and there were some other things that had to be done too, like looking at examining the clothing, or looking at x-rays, if there were x-rays available from the medical examiner's office, and of course, reading the medical record that was available. After all that was done, then I would proceed with the examination of the internal structures of the body, including the organs, the soft tissues and muscles underneath the skin, the bones, etc.
Do you have any certifications?
Quite a few.
Can you name them, please?
Well, I'm
board certification. I'm sorry to interrupt you, doctor.
Okay, so I'm board certified in emergency medicine, and That was, after the residency training, had to take a qualifying examination. Then I've had to be recertified. I think it's 3 times now. I just recertified again, so I'm certified for another 5 years.
What do you have to do to get board certified and maintain that significant certification?
Well, presently, to get board certified, one has to complete a residency in emergency medicine. And so that is, depending on the program, either 3 or 4 years long. I went to a 4-year program. And then I had to take examination, both a written examination, very long written examination, and then an oral examination where I was questioned by many established emergency physicians on the various kinds of cases that might present to the emergency department. They would give you an unknown, and you would have to talk about how you would care for that person.
Do you have any affiliations with any professional organizations?
Yes. I'm a fellow of the American College of Emergency Physicians. I'm a fellow of the American Academy of Forensic Science. I'm a fellow of the the National Association of Medical Examiners, and then I have some memberships in some other organizations.
What does it take to achieve fellow status that you just mentioned?
So in order to be a fellow, it depends on the organization, but in order to be a fellow, you usually have to be a member for a certain number of years, member in good standing. And then for some of the organizations, you have to have attended some of their national meetings. For some of the other organizations, and possibly have presented a study or a paper or something at the national meeting. Other of those organizations, it's a little bit variable, the membership for a certain number of years.
In addition to all of that education, background, experience, do you have any specialized training and experience with regard to investigations of death?
Well, yes. So again, the focus of the forensic pathology was investigations of death, but also in my job as an emergency physician at the hospital I was at for 29 years, I had both clinical responsibilities, meaning in the ER, taking care of patients, and administrative responsibilities, meaning committees and, office type work. And so one of my responsibilities during that time was to be director of the Quality Improvement Committee. And as director of the Quality Improvement Committee, of course, I had to do death reviews. So analyzing, studying the people who came to the emergency department and was subsequently either pronounced dead or died in the emergency department.
So now let's move to a slightly different topic. Let's discuss your work experience. What do you currently do for work?
I work for the Medical Board of California.
All right, hang on. I'm going to pause it there because we'll call that a change in topic because he's going to start talking about a work experience. And we all know that the internet starts getting really bad. So, people, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to Bad Dazza for your super sticker. Appreciate that. As always, people, please remember you are not a piece of shit like Brennan, in my opinion. Or Officer Diva. Deva, whatever she calls herself. But you do have value for being here. And as always, people, stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Cheers, peeps. And parked.
And again, on your way out, please do me the favor, hit the like and subscribe button if you're so inclined. It costs nothing. It's absolutely free, and we'll be friends forever. Bye now.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms
to push their own personal bias, and agenda to control exactly what people think. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.